Welcome to a Parallel Project Training, APM Project Management Qualification podcast based on the APM Body of Knowledge 7th edition. You should be using this in conjunction with our e-learning, podcasts, and potentially a tutor-led course. For more information, please visit www.parallelprojecttraining.com.
Hello, welcome to another Parallel Project Training podcast. This is based on the 7th edition of the Body of Knowledge, and I'm Paul Neighbour with John Bolton. Say hello, John.
Hello, John.
And we're talking about project offices.
Hello, all right.
Yes, project management offices.
Project management offices.
They're not physical offices, they're sort of management offices.
Yeah.
So let's go through the assessment criteria here. Describe the functions and benefits of the different types of project office, including program, portfolio, management offices, embedded PMOs. I'm really interested to find out what an embedded PMO is, a central PMO, and a hub and spoke PMO. And then also in this section, we're going to look at explain why project management governance are required, and such as the use of policies, regulations, functions, processes and procedures, and delegated responsibilities. So I bet we better start really simple. And what is a project management office?
Project management office is a construct. It's something that exists in the project environment that helps the project manager run the project, or that enables the project to be properly governed and seen to be governed by the organisation in which it's operating. So a project management office, a project office, will either work directly on behalf of the project manager or the organisation within which the project's running.
So it's got two roles. It's got a support role and a governance role.
It depends on which flavour you're looking at. Mm-hmm. So they talk about an embedded PMO, okay, but all PMOs are embedded. It just depends what they're embedded in. Mm-hmm. So you can have a project management office embedded in a project. It can be embedded in a program. It can be embedded in a portfolio.
Let's go.
Or it can be embedded in an organisation.
Yeah, okay.
So kind of park the term embedded.
Yeah. We'll come back to that.
But what they mean by embedded in this context is embedded in a project.
Okay. So let's talk about the sorts of things that a project office might do. Let's start with that sort of like high-level picture about.
Very simplistically, they're going to help the project manager run the project. So anything the project manager might be doing, the project management team, our project office team might be helping them do.
Like
administrative support is the obvious one. Booking rooms, minutes, that sort of thing. But more importantly, I suppose in a smaller project, you might have an admin support one day a week.
Yeah.
And that might be your project office.
Mini PMO, okay.
You know, but on a bigger project, you may have many people in the project office because the nature of the business is that much bigger. So some of the more profound things they do is they collect data.
Okay.
So they'll collect things like, timesheets, goods received notes, that sort of thing. Collate them, tabulate them, produce reports. So the project manager is disassociated from that. So in a way, they're kind of keeping a watch on what's going on.
Yeah, I used to have a PMO that did configuration management.
That's right. Well, that's something else. So the whole idea of document management and configuration management is something again, another role that you quite often see them doing.
Yeah, or planning or
scheduling. That's right. They might have a planner in the project office who helps the project managers on the project or program do the plans. They might have expert resources in risk management.
Okay.
So you might have someone in the project office who's really good at risk management. So the project manager can say, well, look, I'll tell you what, why don't you go and do my risk reviews for me, which might be a development thing for them. It will take some of the burden off the PM, and it also gets someone excited and who's good at doing what they're doing, focused on it, and it might be very motivational for them. The other thing is it's kind of the glue.
Okay.
So the running of the machine, the project machine, might go on for many years. Project managers might come and go, but that kind of base load of admin is being dealt with. So you don't have continual weaving and changing of roles and responsibilities.
Yeah, I'm working with a client at the moment, and they're developing a PMO. So I'm helping them write reporting templates that everybody's using, or templates for project management plans, or end of project reports, and then guiding them through how to use those and create those, and
That's right.
where to store them and where to file them, and
right.
chasing people.
So you've got this level of activity at a sort of project level. So you can see very much how I, as a project manager, might help, but also I might have an organisation with many projects. It wouldn't make sense for me to have every project having their own project manager.
Yes.
Project office manager.
Yes.
So I might have what they call a virtual project office, where I've got one centralised project office helping all of those project managers.
Yeah.
They might also be providing a service to the business, whereby they're monitoring monthly reports and they're passing up the chain progress reports.
Yeah.
So that's where you get a slightly organisational aspect to what they do. So that project office is no longer just a tactical dealing with the nitty-gritty of the projects. It's now something that the sponsors and the steering group are relying upon to assure them about what's going on.
Yes.
And that's when you see these terms like corporate project office or project controls office. And
so should we move on to the terms then, the different types of
that's kind of what I was doing really, but
So
let's carry on.
So the types of PMO, I mean, an embedded PMO. This is
in a very simplistic way, it's a PMO is embedded in a project.
Okay, so it's like a one-to-one relationship.
Yes.
That project.
Yes.
Okay.
But you could also have a program management office.
Yeah.
Or a portfolio management office.
So I've seen these on big projects where, massive projects, the Olympics, for instance.
That's right. They have a whole building full of controls.
Yes, and one of the people we work with was the head of the PMO for 2012.
Yeah.
So it's quite a big job collating all the reports from all the different projects and getting everybody to try and coordinate.
So it's like zero to hero,
It's embedded fully in the project. It's dedicated to that project.
One sort of project officer, sort of part-time on a project, one end of the scale, and, a building full of people is the other end of the scale.
Yes.
So it's kind of...
So
that's an embedded. It's where it's kind of...
Part of the project team.
Yeah. So you get a central PMO, which is what I described, where you've got one PMO serving multiple projects. So they're not embedded anymore. They're embedded in the business, but they're not embedded in the project.
Okay.
Then you get what they call this hub and spoke arrangement.
Spoke. This is new to me.
Yeah, hub and spoke is where you don't have one centralised function. So you don't have a centralised PMO.
Okay.
You have
disaggregated,
almost virtual, disaggregated.
So you might have a risk department and an estimating department,
planning department. That's right, estimators and what have you. So you have them all spread around the business.
Controls department.
That's right, and then the individual business dip into and out of. It's a matrix.
Okay.
It's a matrix structure for a project office.
Yeah, so we all know organisations like that that do that sort of thing, and it's often when they've got regions as well. So they're multi-regional.
That's right.
Multi-disciplined, and so they can't have them all in one place. They have to disaggregate.
The good thing about that is, if you're a planner, you have a career development as a planner.
Yes.
Or if you're a risk analyst, you have a career development as a risk manager.
So the head of risk management, the head of planning.
That's right. So you're not all sort of jumbled up with all the other disciplines.
It's quite often in that case.
You're going to need quite a big scale.
The poor old project managers who haven't got a head of project management that they can go to, really. They end up with
You're going to need quite a big scale of operation to do that. Because it's going to be quite difficult.
Most people.
Yeah. So, kind of what are the benefits? Well, manyfold, really.
Yeah.
They save the project manager time, they provide consistency, you get the experts doing the work, so you're not got a project manager. Some project managers are very, very good at spreadsheets, some aren't.
Yes.
Some are really good at recording time, some aren't, So you want a way of kind of making sure that's done properly. That project manager may have particular skills in other areas that makes them very valuable, but you just need some support in some areas. So there's a whole reason why you might want this. And also, it's just sheer volume of work. You might find that project managers completely snowed under.
Yeah, but you've got
And you don't need another project manager, you just need some admin support, to put it, crudely. Yeah.
You talked about admin support, but that admin might be updating the risk register, or
I don't wish to demean it in any way. I'm not
maintaining the cost plan, or authorising invoices. It's not.
Yeah, I've fallen into my own trap. All right, I say it's not. It's when I worked at a previous company, they were very keen to not be classified as admin.
Okay.
So I've had it drummed into me, but I still do it.
Yeah.
So apologies to all you PMOs out there.
Yeah, it's not glorified admin. So that nicely segues into governance. So governance is an area that causes a lot of confusion to a lot of people. So you were talking in the last podcast about the difference between organisational governance and project governance.
Yeah, because that comes into contact with the PMP, you see.
Yeah.
So there's lots of manifestations of governance. And there used to be a separate section in the syllabus, but it's gone.
Okay.
Was section 4.
So let's start with organisational governance. I think that's... People get confused about this. Organisational governance is about the things that keep the board of directors awake at night. So how do I know that and there's many organisations that have failed because a few projects in that organisation have gone systematically wrong. So organisational governance is about how do I have oversight of those projects. So you've got it exactly here, policies and procedures that need to be applied, regulations, processes like reporting, procedures that have to be followed, delegated authorities for authorising contracts and signing off contracts, So clear rules. So for a good example, I think, of organisational governance is bidding for contracts. So when an organisation wants to sign off a contract, it's usually not the project manager that can sign the contract. It usually has to get up to a certain level of authority before someone can sign that contract for that project, That's that. Or a no bid meeting.
That's
for
right.
a project, or approval of the business case. It's usually set out in the delegated authorities for the organisation. So that's the directors controlling. So the other side of the coin is what you've called project governance. Do you want to explain what that is a little bit?
Well, that's kind of why, if you're reading the study guide with this, our study guide with this, you'll find governance in amongst the project management stuff, the project management office, PMO stuff. Because, as I said earlier on, you've got a central PMO or a virtual PMO. They're going to be implementing a lot of the governance.
Yes.
Because if the board of management of the business say, I want a monthly report from all my projects, then your central PMO will be making sure that happens. So they are essentially one of the manifestations, one of the arms of governance in that environment. Also, they might, even in an embedded situation, the project office manager might be, feel themselves obliged to call the project manager to task now and again. So, you can't do that because, of these, have you seen this process? We've got a procurement process, you need to follow it. So I'm not turning them into a policeman, but there's quite a lot of project governance that goes on, subliminally, because people just know. I know if I get offered a bribe, I've got to go and tell somebody. But there might be something less kind of profound than that, just a regulation somewhere that we have to abide by, or just making sure that the health and safety plan's up to date for the health and safety audit. So there's all sorts of things going on at that level that drag governance under the sort of, not under the umbrella, but within the remit of a project office.
Yeah. So they do act as a counterweight, don't they? So the project manager's sort of going off. Shooting from the hip,
right.
taking decisions,
that's right.
And the project office manager is a bit more bureaucratic focused, maybe, or likes process.
I've just alienated half the project management community. You've just done the other half.
Likes the process. Goes well. Actually, have you completed the issue register to record that decision that you just took?
That's right.
That's a good role. Good. So project offices, I think they're growing. I think they're becoming more common in organisations.
Yeah. I think in the old syllabus they had I think the phrase was thinking is still evolving in this area, and I think it still is.
Yeah.
But this time around they've tried to codify some of the different variations on a theme, and happy days really. I mean that's all right, but yeah.
Good. Good job.
We hope you enjoyed this podcast and found it informative. To find out about our training courses, e-learning, or tutor-led course, please go to www.parallelprojecttraining.com.